Last play, and it's going to be getting longer by the second. You're all the way back at the 30-yard line. Now you can step into it. Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line, and the ball is caught! Caught! It's a miracle! It's Noah Brown! Oh my goodness! This town is going crazy! It's a madhouse in Landover, Maryland.
He did it. Washington football. Woo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. The title of tonight's episode is The Miracle, as you just witnessed. I am your host, Kyle. I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. The Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network.
Tonight.
Yeah, the title tonight, look, whatever, is brought to you by the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listofrederick.com. I'm all chewed up, my goodness.
Everybody's all out of sorts tonight, right?
So, first things first. All right, we got to get into the backdrop of it all. When my wife and kids get home from having dinner, and it's all chaotic, and I'm trying to watch the end of that game, I'm trying to help her with baths, I'm trying to do all that jazz. So at this point, I get the kids out of the bath, I'm getting Cash ready for bed. So he's out with me, and then she's like, "Well, the kids have to go to bed; they have to read their books." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not gonna leave this." You know what I'm saying?
Priorities.
I got to watch this giant. And so she's in the room with them reading the books as that 2 seconds is on the clock. And dude, I am pissed. I am livid. I'm I'm going through all those different plays, and then seeing that thing form, and listening to I forget what his name is. My goodness, Jim Nantz say he has time to step into it. I was like, no way. And seeing that ball bobble in front of Noah Brown, I mean,
bro,
get the hell out of our city.
Dog, when he threw it, I was kind of like, let's see what happens. As soon as it got tipped in the air, I was like, oh, I just saw Noah Brown just standing there by himself. I was telling Kyle before we started recording, if anyone remembers back when AB was on the Raiders and he was trying to get released, he was doing anything possible to get released. And then he finally got released and he was recording it. He ran outside, he was running around I'm free. He was jumping up and down he just got his second or third contract in the NFL. He just got a big payday or something. Legitly, I was running around. I was at my mom's house, right down the street from me and my wife's house. And I was legitly just running around the living room. I ran. I was almost like a hockey player. You know, when hockey players skate just jump into the wall. I ran. I just jumped into the front door. I was just dog. It's crazy.
I almost lost my voice off of one single play in that game. I mean, I've been screaming all day, obviously, because the kids weren't here, so the dogs just jump all over me every time I was screaming. The Terry McLaurin pass that he caught down the sideline, I was screaming for that. But I'm not lying. That play got me in trouble. I walked into that room afterwards with a huge smile on my face, and I'm like, "What's up? What's going on? Everybody good? You ready to go to bed?"
My mom, everybody in my mom's house screamed out. It's majority Skins fans over there, Commanders fans, but there's a Giants fan. My brother's wife's a Giants fan, but there's a Ravens fan over there as well. But yeah, everybody was like, "Yo!" The whole house was, "Oh!" Yeah, dog, it was wild.
Dude, what? But the funny thing is, we still have to recap the entire game. But that play, it's funny because we've talked about for the past couple weeks or so, talked about how the Bengals game was the best game you've witnessed, in Washington history, and we'll go down the list or whatever have you. But Mike, this has to take the cake,
man. I would say, yeah. I mean, just because the way that it ended, you thought that look, the Bengals game ended crazy because the throw that Jaden made to Terry and the throw was perfect, the catch was perfect, but the Bengals still got the ball back and we had to stop them. But this was a walk it off, just one and done, one throw to end it all. Boom, dog. This just gotta be number one. I was just watching the live stream for the Commanders with Brian Colbert and Santana and B Mitch. And first of all, I was yelling around like ball don't lie, because the whole game I'm like, bro, like we should be up 20 plus on them in the first half. Calls not going our way, shooting ourselves in the foot. Ball don't lie, just like in basketball. It don't lie.
That's
But
exactly what I was saying. I was like, ball don't lie, bro. That's exactly what I was saying.
the same thing we all said, like ball don't lie, like he's a real one. Come on, man.
Dude, and what a freaking ending. And seeing Caleb, look, the funny thing is that CBS had jinxed the Bears early on in that game when they showed the replay of Caleb Williams' Hail Mary touchdown for Gonzaga
Yeah,
against the
yeah.
Matha,
Shout out
right?
to Coach Travers too. That was my high school football coach in Northwest back in the day.
So like I was like, that's literally what I actually had the thought in my head before that play went. I was like, did they jinx the Bears with this Hail Mary jump? My good dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. I walked in there. I had to show my family the replay. I said, look, I have to explain myself. You know, here you go. Watch this. And then we continued to read books. But while they were reading books, I like literally, I was on my knees and I was just praying. And I was like, thank you, God, for watching over the Commanders. Thank you for watching over Jade Daniels tonight. Thank you for blessing us with this win, because my goodness,
Bro,
that was a miracle.
I was running around like a madman. My 2-year-old nephew, Marcus, he like legitly started crying because I was just running around like, ah. He started just crying like, I had to like calm down. I was like, all right, my bad,
Dude,
little
okay,
man.
especially like you've heard me yell. Like when I yell, it is deafening. It's deafening.
Oh,
And so
dog, you know me. I'm Mr. like
yeah.
mellow yellow. Like I'm always
So
just
I'm over here sipping water because I need to chill a little bit,
until it
dude.
comes to the football team, and then I just a whole nother beast comes out. When I get on the football field or when I watch this team, a whole nother beast just comes out.
Oh, you're not lying. But look, let's get into some stats here to kind of overall highlight the game, and then we'll get into some fan questions and kind of just talk about plays of the game. But Washington now advances to 6-2. They defeated Chicago 18-15. I'm trying to go back to my cool level self here because I've been on RPM 9 for the past 15 minutes. But Washington's first down, they had 23 to Chicago's 15. On third downs, they were 5 of 15, while Chicago was 2 of 12. On fourth down, we did not go for it on fourth down at all. Chicago was 0-1, thankfully, early on in that game. Passing yards, we had 313, where Chicago had 111. And rushing yards is where Chicago outdid us, especially with that big run by DeAndre Swift, and we'll get into that. 196 yards rushing and 168 yards rushing for Washington. But the red zone, Washington was 0 for 3, where Chicago was 1 for 2. And time of possession, Washington won 32 minutes and 16 seconds to Chicago's 27 minutes and 44 seconds, which leads me into our first fan submission by our boy Yam Sensei in the Discord.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, this is a good question for the pod. Why do we continue to have so much difficulty in the red zone, especially on first and goal situations?"
Um, I feel like it's a little bit of recency bias because for other than I guess the Giants game and then this game, because obviously we kicked 7 field goals in the Giants game, and then we kicked what was it, 4 field goals tonight with Siebert. But I mean, look, I mean it's still like a young team in terms of guys haven't been around each other, haven't played a lot of football together, and yes, the self-inflicted penalties, the and stuff like that inside the red zone is definitely a thing that if you want to be playing good football come January and February, whatever it may be, if they get to that point, when they get to that point, I should say, if they want to be playing good football come December and January, that stuff like that is going to have to get cleaned up if you actually want to try to make some noise and do some things where we all want to see this team get to. But I would say that I would just say that yeah, it's just one of the things that they got to clean it up, and I'm sure that with a coaching staff like this that are just hammer the details and they're all about what do they call it? Tell the truth Mondays or something like that. So I'm sure that they're going to get on them guys on Monday morning. They'll clean it up, and I would say that even coming out of the Giants game, that third game against what was that, Arizona? I want to say it was.
Yes.
They played a clean game that game. I don't know, there was not a lot of penalties that game, so
Yeah.
I would expect that to come around against the Giants the second week. They play a pretty clean game and like I said, get it cleaned up.
Yeah, it's funny, because I had put out a tweet earlier in the game saying that going against the Giants, whenever they got into the red zone, you saw the penalties. They were shooting themselves in the foot repeatedly, having negative plays, put them in very bad positions. Because for me personally, in order to convert in the red zone sustainably and consistently, you have to be able to run the ball well. And if you're committing those penalties, if you're putting yourself in negative situations, it takes you out of that position to run the ball. And and just like the Chicago Bears' last touchdown there, you want to be able to run the football there. Get on that one, at least have that advantage to your benefit. But if you're sitting at the 9 or 10, you're kind of forced into that scenario. But like my tweet being that if you don't stop shooting yourself in the foot, you're not going to be able to convert touchdowns. And obviously they didn't early on, obviously barring the Hail Mary. But like ultimately it comes down to those self-inflicting gunshot wounds. And that's what they were doing to themselves. And credit to Chicago for putting them in those situations, but that's Washington doing it to themselves. And so ultimately for me, it comes down to running the football, and they actually did pretty well running the football today. It wasn't like they hit brick walls every single time. They were picking up 5 to 6 yards at a time, but the unfortunate part is that when you get down there and you're taking yourself back, you're forcing yourself into those passing situations. So I think it's something like Hall said that you can easily clean up. They showed it before that they can clean it up. And heading into the Giants, I fully expect them to be able to. But my religious sense will tell you that that was just shaping up for the miracle. It just had to grip us.
Everything led to that one moment.
Exactly, dude. And like my pastor had texted me early on in that game. He's like, we really need you guys to pull this one out. Because he's a Vikings fan. Like obviously they lost on Thursday, so he's like, need y'all to. And I was like, look, we'll try to come through for you, man. We'll try to pull this one out for you guys. And my goodness, did we? He texted
in the craziest way possible.
He texted me immediately after. Was like, that is insane. my brother-in-law BK texted me. He said, "Oh, I gotta tell you what BK said. It actually is pretty funny." He said, "Not gonna lie, I don't know how to act. I think I just witnessed the greatest Washington play in the last 15 years." I think
legit, bro.
It's even before that. Look, obviously the Riggins run, 4th down in the Super Bowl is going to take the cake for the older heads. I get it. But for us, where I'm 34, wasn't around for that. This regular season game, that was statistically probably the wildest freaking play that we have ever seen.
You know, it's funny. I was gonna say something last time when we were talking about something else, and I forgot what I was gonna say. That just triggered it. They were talking about like when's the last time you heard this stadium erupt like that on a play? And they were talking about Santana was like 2000, I want to say 6 or something like that. In overtime, he caught a touchdown against like the Jaguars or something like that. And he said the stadium went crazy. Da, da, da. I would counter that. I would say that Vikings game when RG3 hit that like 60, 70-yard run, whatever it was, down the sideline, jumped to the stands in overtime for the win. I know for a fact the stadium was going crazy. Like it was live as hell that day. So, but then, I mean, honestly, this Hail Mary tops both of those plays that Santana's talking about and the one I'm talking about, because honestly, it's only because not because we won the game and like the way that we won it. It's because the Bears fans, y'all hyped it up. Y'all talked about this game so much like it was y'all Super Bowl the whole week. Y'all were probably thinking like, oh, we're about to talk so much trash. They probably had the tweets lined up, had everything lined up on social media, just hit send on it. JD said, shh.
Nope.
Don't do that.
It is funny though, because they were talking a lot in the spaces, saying how are you going to be able to get against our defense? We have one of the best secondaries in the league. You guys aren't going to be able to pass the ball that well. Terry McLaurin himself went off, my boy, who I'm rocking today. I haven't changed my clothes. I just changed my hat, of course. But he himself, 5 receptions for 77 yards. Zach Ertz, 7 receptions for 77 yards. And then our boy Noah Brown, 3 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown. I do got to give credit to you because we talked about the unsung hero going into this game.
I thought I was waiting to get to that.
Yeah. And you said Johnny Newton, who obviously was pivotal in this game. ESPN did not log his first tackle on Caleb Williams as a sack. So they have his 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 3 quarterback hits, and 1 fumble recovery. That fumble recovery on the goal line was huge. That was
Mm-hmm.
massive. I love seeing the big man run 100 yards down the field today. But you saw him with the sleep apnea, the oxygen mask
Yeah.
on the sideline, like he was Bane. I was born into it.
I was born in darkness.
I was molded by it. Uh, Absolutely great game from Johnny Newton. He was all over the field. He was wreaking
Yeah.
havoc constantly. Credit to Deron Payne on that one shoestring tackle to Caleb Williams. But
Yeah.
Bobby Wagner on that one sack where he just blows up Roshan Johnson. I mean,
I
just
remember that. Yeah.
dude just pushed him right into Caleb, but Caleb had no idea where to go. He was that was a phenomenal game by the defense. As much as they gave up some stuff at the end, I thought that Caleb earned my respect, honestly, on that pass to DJ Moore. He
Mhm.
stood in there.
Oh yeah, that
I
cover two shot, whole
yeah, I
shot.
said it on Wednesday. I literally thought about it as soon as that pass dropped in. I was like, can you be able to take a shot on the chin, deliver a football in a tight space on the money? And that's exactly
Yeah.
what he did on that DJ Moore touchdown. Not
No,
touchdown,
for
the one
sure.
long pass. And he earned my respect for that one because that was a dime, dude. That was a perfect throw. You know,
Oh, for sure. And
you know
and that's the
Bobby
thing
was
about it
feeling it.
though. Like, I mean, look, shout out to Commanders fans. Nobody was out here trying to like diss Caleb Williams. We was over here like praising him, like he's one of us. He's from the DMV. We want him to succeed. We want our version of like Brady versus Peyton for like the next 10+ years in the NFC. You know what I'm saying, with JD and Caleb. Y'all crazy ass MFs was out there like, oh, we gonna kill him, we gonna break his rib, he sucks, da 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 da, talking crazy about our guy. I don't know, but again, he just
Put him right to sleep, man. Put him right to sleep. Jaden Daniels, 21 of 38, 326 yards, a touchdown. Only had 2 sacks on him. He was juking guys out of their shoes.
hey, he made that one dude on that scramble. I was like, oh, pick the ankles up. I think it was like
TJ
52 or
Edwards.
50. Yeah, Edwards, yeah.
And then the other one where a guy literally thought he had him by his legs and Jaden just jumps out of it.
Hit the Mario jump on
Yeah.
him.
Just just jumped right out of that tackle, which was beautiful. But that's Jaden Daniels, man. And
Playmaker.
look, I said it after in my recap of that Giants game. I sat in my parents' basement. I said it. I was like, you guys, I don't think you guys really understand what transpired in that fourth quarter 2 minute drill where he drove down the field for the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Not that many teams feel confident with time going out that your guy can be able to put the ball in a situation where it can be clutch, that you can win the game. And that is what really developed tonight is the guys never lost that belief, that faith, right?
Yeah.
So which goes into our next question, which was submitted by Just Your Average Fly Guy. Thank you on Twitter. He said, my question for the pod, did you ever lose faith today? I was on my knees praying. We frickin' did it.
I mean, look, I'm just sit here and say that after they scored that touchdown, that I lost like a little, the slither of faith, or not even little, a big slither of faith, of course. But I would say that once I kind of got back to a level-headed state of mind, looked at the clock, looked where they had the ball at, and I was like, all right, they can probably run at least 2 plays, get a little bit of space, and then maybe hit a Hail Mary if they need to. Look, obviously a Hail Mary is like a one in X amount of whatever the number is percent chance of hitting. So to say that, like I said, a big chunk of slither of faith was like taken out of the, if you want to call it a pie, like 80% of the pie was taken out of my faith, was like, we lost a tough one. We shot ourselves in the foot. We should have won this game, blah, 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 all that stuff. But again, like we were saying before, as soon as he launched it and I looked down and they kind of like showed the little jumble of people at the end zone, as soon as I saw the ball tipped, so I was already jumping up and down because I saw Noah Brown just chilling, like kind of like the game 500, like jackpot. Everyone tips it. He just sitting there like, oh, free catch by him. But yeah, so to answer your question, yes, some faith was taken out, of course, because the human brain is like, oh man, look at the time, look at the score, look at how many yards I got to go. But JD5 is him. What can I say? He restored the faith. So hey,
He did. And look, the first original miracle that ever happened was the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Look, I don't care what anybody else says. But yes, with that 2 seconds left, that was like that Friday afternoon where I'm just like, oh man, like why? Why, dude? Why did we have to lose this one? You know, and I'm thinking back in my head, I'm like, that Zach Ertz touchdown, which should have been a touchdown.
That was ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And then the missed block in the back on Mikey Sammerstill by Keenan
That was a
Allen.
hold too, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think Quan Martin literally got tackled on that play.
I was like, what is going on?
But
These referees are kind of horrible this game. I'm not gonna lie. But
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna be too political on here. But look at who the ref was on that side of the field. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna go too much more into it, but it speaks for itself. Fact is, that was on the Bears sideline. Obviously, they were gonna call it differently, I guess, but there was things going on there, especially like remember early on in the season, we played a team and there was a call where it was illegal man downfield and the team challenged it.
mm-hmm.
And they looked
that was
back.
Was it the Arizona game?
I don't think it was Arizona. I think it might have been was that Bengals?
Might have been the Bengals game. I remember it was the first quarter of the season, but yeah.
And so they went back to it and they said, oh, he wasn't completely over that yard marker, right? That sort of sense.
Right.
And when I look back at that, I was like, wait a minute, Cosme's leg is still not all the way over that line. And they're usually very chill with that sort of stuff. And I just thought, like, thinking back to all of that, I was like, my goodness, like, why do we have to lose? I don't want to hear this crap. And of course they go back in that fashion. And then, but I won't lie to you, man. I literally was probably touching my ceiling in my living room when I saw Noah Brown go like this. Like I was screaming with everything that I had, and I was just like, I'm still in disbelief, to be honest with you. But like that's the whole point about it all and being here and having your faith resurrected, because that was like Sunday morning, seeing that nothing was there in the tomb, and you're just like, what? Blown away. You can't believe it, but guess what? It's real, baby. I don't care what anybody has to say. Go on all day. That's exactly what it was like, and I was on cloud 9, just running. I took my hat off first time ever. I was like, oh my! I was flipping out, screaming at the top of my lungs.
Bobby Schmurder, like
I don't want to scream here. I don't want to yell, but it's bringing the memory back. But Arch had a similar question in the Discord asking, "What did you do immediately after that play?" He said, I might have ran around the bar like an insane person. And that was all of us. Yeah. That was all of us, my friend. If my windows were open, I'm pretty sure the cops might have been called. I'm not just saying, because that's exactly where I was.
I told you, like I was running around like AB when he got released from the Raiders, scared my little 2-year-old nephew, had to calm him down, hit a little like Ovechkin, just jump against the glass with my mom's front door. Like, yeah, I was going crazy, but
yes. Now,
it was worth it.
Deluxe's next question was, what are your immediate thoughts on the defensive performance? Did they take another step this week? He says, keep building.
Oh, 100%. They definitely took a step this week. And like you said, they definitely gave up a couple of plays here and there. But the fact that the offense was kind of like stalling out here and there, 3 and out, shooting themselves in the foot, it seemed like the times when the offense would actually drive down the field, get a couple things going, the defense would get a little bit of resting time. It seemed like they were up to the game, up to the task. They were getting pressure on Caleb. They were doing their thing, getting stops. And then as soon as the offense stalled out, would go quick 3 and out, quick however many plays, get the ball right back to them. On defense on the field a lot, obviously they're getting tired. Then they seemed like they started to give up some plays in the second half of that game. But Jaden Daniels said it after the game. He was talking to B-Mitch and all that. Defense won that game. Without them, we're not even in that game. This was by far one of their best performances of the year.
Yep.
This offense was coming into this game red hot. Caleb Williams was coming in red hot. So definitely shout out to this defense. I do think they took a step. They gave up the long couple, like I said, a couple big plays here and there, but I do think that at the end of the day, baby steps. We wanted to see growth from this whole team, not just the offense, not just the defense, but the whole team. And I think that the offense is definitely growing week to week. Special teams has been playing their ass off all year. Defense, it took a little bit in the beginning, but they're definitely showing that growth week to week.
Dude, and keeping Caleb Williams like 33 yards passing in the first half, and
he looked flustered on that bench at the end of the halftime.
They did a very good job of getting to him. Later on that game, and in that game, they didn't do that great of a job of bringing him down. He obviously just his escapability is off the charts, being able to locate Keenan Allen later on in that game in that fourth quarter. But the fourth quarter comes down to heart, and they didn't lack that whatsoever. They continued to fight. They did. And as much as they were putting themselves in a bad position offensively, the defense was picking up that weight. And that's where that brotherhood, that teamwork really comes into play for a team. And having somebody, what I thought was one of the best aspects of this game was the chess match, where obviously Caleb Williams was calling a different play based on what the defensive formation was. And then Bobby Wagner was telling the defense what to do based off of that. Either it was staying with it or we're changing to this. And I thought the pre-snap communication was huge in this game, and this is why you have Bobby Wagner. But then, like, he brought it to another level with that blitz, right? Being able to nullify in the run game, coming up and making some big-time stops. He did a heck of a job tonight. Bobby Wagner deserves a beer. Getting one of my game beers. I don't know who's somebody else is getting one of your game beers.
I gotta go. Yeah, I mean, obviously Noah Brown, but I got to go with Frankie Louvu again. Bobby Wagner's running mate. They was all over the field today. Louvu was all over the field. He was in the backfield. He was getting after Caleb. There's a couple times where thought you had him locked up, thought you had him wrapped up, and obviously Caleb, like you said, his escapability is one of his best attributes. That's what he's like. One of his things that makes him such a good, probably maybe a great quarterback down the line, but. Yeah, Louvu was all over the place. There was times where he was just rushing. He knew he wasn't going to get the sack. He just blowing up the running back in the backfield for someone else to come around and get after Caleb Williams. So Louvu, again, was playing like a madman. 2 claps, Ric Flair. Woo!
Yeah, and it was so funny that him and Bobby Wagner did that interview pregame, and they sent it and they did horribly with it. I mean, of course, like if you got to be around a bunch of people for it to really have its muster. You know what I mean? But to elaborate a little bit more on Deluxe's question about the defensive performance, Jalen Holmes, he came into this game, had a sack early on. He did the Rockabye Baby celebration afterwards. We just picked him up from the Jets. He comes in, has a great sack. That is a big human being. Defensively, they were very good against the run, except for that one play that happened wide, and which blew the doors off. Obviously, we could have kept them probably close to less than 100. At that point, but the defense came out to play today, and they did their frickin' job. And yes, this was a step in the right direction for them to really believe that even though this team coming in is hot and heavy, that we can nullify that and actually be our strength at times. Because with Washington, we're not used to this. Typically, it's one or the other. The offense is hot, the defense is giving up a lot. Very rarely is it where we're able to have the offense drop off and the defense comes into play and really takes the weight off of them, you know? Yeah. And so it's really cool to see this happen, where to the point where we're able to win the football game on such a spectacular, miraculous fashion. I mean, this was fantastic. I love this damn football team. I go to war with them any day of the week. I mean, I love all those guys. I know everyone was yelling at Benjamin St. Juste, but like that's what Keenan Allen does, man. He gets over top. He's able to get around you, and you're trying to. Obviously, you don't want to panic in that situation, but like that's why Caleb threw it there, because he knew.
Yeah, and look, I was definitely one of the people where, obviously, in the moment, you're like, St. Juste, what are you doing? Da, 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 because it's the game on the line. It's probably that game-shifting, game-changing play to come down to the end of the game, but. All in all, if you really just look back at the entire game and the entirety that he played a pretty solid game.
Yeah, he was crucial in that 4th down stop.
Exactly. So it's just that one play at the end of the game where it actually really mattered. Like you said, he panicked a little bit, got handsy as he usually is. But at the end of the day, minus that one play, he played a pretty solid game overall. He was making plays left and right. So, but yeah, I mean, look. At the end of the day, this is what St. Juste is. He's a guy that's going to make some plays here and there. He's also a guy that's going to get burnt here and there and get a couple penalties called on him here and there for being handsy and physical. You live with it. You die with it.
Yep, and Quan Martin led the team with 11 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Bobby Wagner with 7 tackles. Deron Payne got into the mix with 1 sack and 4 tackles. Obviously, the defensive line came to play today. They were obviously very stout up front.
Johnny!
Winning the physicality in the trenches was obviously huge in this football game. I love that image of Caleb Williams after that one punt that they had to force, where he got them out of field goal range And he's almost literally beating with sweat, just like, oh, why am I here kind of thing. And that was awesome to see because that's what you want to do to Caleb Williams. You want to be able to move his feet, get him around a little bit, but keep him contained in that pocket. When you do have a chance to get on him and bring him down. But obviously, Caleb in himself, there's a reason why he was drafted where he was because of that escapability and what he can do. But defensively, they were able to nullify them pretty much the whole game. They were able to hold bar as much as they possibly could. It's just Washington needed that one offensive touchdown. It didn't come until 2 seconds in the game. So, hey, that's all we can ask for, and we're happy for it. But the way that I look at it is that was owed to us. I mean, we kind of
Yeah.
we did it twice, and still nothing out of it. But ball don't lie. That's where we are, and I'm happy as hell to be here. Now, the next question we have from the Discord, this one is from Tim Towner. Take a look back and self-scout this game. What do we do poorly that we can look at and improve?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the self-inflicted wounds, the penalties, the mental mistakes, the red zone mental mistakes, definitely again. But again, just going back to that Giants game, week 2, they had the penalties, all the penalties in the red zone, shooting themselves in the foot. Could have ran the score up on the Giants by 40, 50 points if they actually converted in the red zone instead of shooting themselves in the foot. Just like today, first half, we should have been up 20 something to nothing, 30 something to nothing if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot and didn't harm or take themselves out of scoring range for touchdowns instead of field goals, which is something that I talked about pre-podcast going back to, I guess it was Wednesday, where I was like, they got to go down, they got to score touchdowns, they can't settle for 3 because there's offense. Little did I know the defense was going to step up so big. I thought it was going to be a high-scoring shootout where Caleb and Jaden were going to go back and forth, but yeah, to answer the question, I'd say the penalties are something they can clean up. I think they're going to clean them up, and I would just say that, yeah, that's all I can say.
I think tackling is something they can
Tackling, yeah.
definitely improve on in this game. Emmanuel Forbes had a very poor attempt. I think it was on
Yeah,
DeAndre
it was
Swift or
DeAndre
something.
Swift trying to set the edge, and he just kind
Yeah,
of
just
flailed at him like,
you just hit him with his arm. Like, what do you do? Take his legs
Yeah.
out, man. Come on, bro. What are you doing? But then on that DeAndre Swift one, tackling continued to be an issue on the sideline out there. But obviously there's no reason to have sour grapes about it. But to give honor to your question, it is tackling, in catching the football. Terry had that early drop where it was high, but immediately when it happened, I was like, Jaden Daniels had to get that ball high to get it away from the linebacker, but put it low enough to where Terry had to play on it and not the corner. And that's what he did. But Terry, if that hits your fingertips, I know it's a difficult catch, but you got to pull that thing down. And then
Receiver number one rule: touch your hands, you gotta catch it.
yeah,
Or you're supposed to catch it.
Zach Ertz had that, but catching ultimately we had a lot of drops in this game.
Noah Brown had 1 or 2.
Yeah, but look, he made it up.
Yeah,
Give
100%.
credit to the boy.
He
He
can
made
drop
it
1
up.
or 2 next game, and he'll still make it up, even with that one catch on the
It
Hail
was
Mary.
beautiful, man. And so, I would say catching the football and tackling seems to be a big case, but especially with the quarterback position. Like early on in the season, that was an issue for us, is bringing down the quarterback. And that was kind of a thing today where, yes, we created a lot of pressure, but Caleb was able to get away from a safety by throwing that ball away. Like, let's get him down. You know what I'm saying? And the one weird thing about that was there wasn't anybody within 5 yards of Caleb's ball. Why the hell was that not intentional grounding? In my personal, was he outside? Like I'm confused.
Look, like I said, these referees, I don't know. They were weird today.
I'm sure there's something in the rules where I'm wrong about it, but when I looked at the replay and they showed that end zone view, there wasn't anybody in 5 yards of where Caleb threw that ball. And I was like,
It's more of a judgment thing. The referee that was there was like, oh, he was close enough to somebody or something like that. Or maybe the back judge was like, oh, he was outside the pocket in his judgment. Like, so.
Yeah, I got you. 2 guys that deserve credit. Brian Robinson, 16 carries for 65 yards, 4.1 average on the ground. Austin Eckler, 7 carries for 52 yards. Obviously, average way above 5 yards per carry. Those guys did their job today, but we would like to see them being able to punch that in. Obviously, they had one taken away from them. I think it was the false start on Trent Scott early on. So it goes into those penalties, cleaning up those penalties, because obviously that was the difference in this game, where it took points off the board, literally.
Yep.
So, yes, that's obviously something that you got to clean up. Now, the next question from Tim Towner. This was a big win, but was the opponent good enough to make outsiders look at us differently, or will it take us beating Philly in Philly?
You know how the narrative goes. People will say that it was a Bears team that was 4-2, but look who they've played. It was a fraudulent 4-2, and da 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 da. Even though coming into the game, everyone was hyping up that offense and how they were clicking, how Caleb was getting turned around and starting to really hit his stride. Keenan Allen was getting involved, which he did today a little bit, but they'll flip the narrative of, well, Washington really hasn't actually really faced an opponent. I mean, they did face the upper echelon teams like the Ravens, or I guess you could put the Buccaneers in one of those top five-ish teams in the NFC right now. They took their lumps to them and lost, but
Arizona won today.
yeah,
They're
exactly.
almost to 500, and so like
Yeah,
that's
but
one thing that people have been saying, that you haven't beaten anybody with a winning record yet.
exactly. But the narratives how they flip them up. But I think that 6-2 is hard to do in the NFL. I don't care how you get to 6-2, what teams you face. You're beating the teams that you're putting in front of you. When you're facing the so-called tomato cans, we're pounding them into the dirt. When you're facing the teams that have a winning record, which the beat was, oh, they haven't beat a team with a winning record. Well, we just did that today. So I don't care how you get there. 6-2 is 6-2. We're first in the East still, and it is what it is. We're a good team.
Yeah, look, and
Good
this
teams find a way to win, no matter how you win.
and Washington should have been up way earlier in this
Oh yeah,
game.
should have been dogging them,
We've
skunked them
talked
off the
about it,
sticks.
yeah, at length already, but it wasn't like Washington's offense was null. Like they were getting down the field and doing some great things, having points literally taken away from them, and so obviously to their own reasoning. But this is where you're kind of looking at it saying like this. Everyone coming in was saying it's a top 10 defense. How is it going to happen? I think this defense is going to shut them out. All that other kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Washington really they flipped the script on Chicago. And as much as Chicago's weapons were out there and they were very, very good, Washington nullified it. And they went to it by going to the source, by going after Caleb Williams, pressuring him and getting him off of his game, which they did early on in that game. But later on, Caleb kind of took over in a sense. But the fourth quarter comes down to heart, and this team absolutely did it. One of the best things that I just saw was Yam sent in a thing from Ari Miroff, My Sports Update. Apparently, there was an end zone view of a fan showing that Bears DB Tyreek Stevenson was ridiculing Commanders fans before the Hail Mary. And he ended up being the player who tipped the
That
ball
tipped
to no,
it. Yep.
to tip the ball to no
That's
Browns.
funny.
That's poetic justice. And he
That's
tried
funny.
poking Sam Cosmi in his eye.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Karma.
That's karma right there for you. That's why the good Lord came in and helped us out a little bit. Adam Rank tweeted, "I'm not even tripping the Bears." You should be. Bro. But credit also to the defense. They held Chicago's offense at 2 of 12 on third down. Like that is a feat in itself. That was hard to do, and they damn through and came through with it.
Yep.
Anything else you got, brother?
Man, I got to say, shout out to the fans. It was from what you could hear on the TV and just from people tweeting and all the reporters, like the beat people that were there, fans in the stadium, Tony Romo and Nance talking about it during the game. Once again, because they were talking about it in Cincinnati too, how we traveled well out there, that we were making a lot of noise. But they were talking about how it was, and obviously it showed on the field. They had a couple false starts, a couple delayed games. So I just got to say, shout out to the fans that went out there today, came out there, supported the team, repped it hard, and were making noise, cheering on the team. And the team talks about it all the time. Like the coaches have been like, we can't do it without the fans. They energize us, they juice us up, they give us that little bit of extra energy we need to finish the game out. And sure enough, it mattered tonight. So and then also I saw they did like a whole like little like blackout thing where like they were like messing with the lights and doing this and doing that. So shout out to the Harris people and all them for trying to upgrade the fan experience for the fans coming out there, supporting the team, making noise. So just all in all, just from top to bottom, team, owner, fans, hell of a win.
Yeah, my pastor texted me because I said I got in trouble and I damn near lost my voice. He said, laugh out loud, man, I could imagine. My wife said to me, Jim, you're going to wake the kids and I don't have steak in the game. Like, that's a Vikings fan, like, reacting. Like, imagine, like, that's...
We're the talk of the NFL, man. We're the talk of the town, so to say.
Yeah, it's funny because before the game, Ian Rappaport said the whole world is watching and wanting to know if Jaden Daniels is going to play in this game. Like, thank you. That's what I've been
The most
saying.
important rib in America is crazy.
And we are global. so to speak. And that's exactly what we are. And it showed today. What a freaking game for the matchup of the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick. Heading forward for the NFL, like this has to be
Oh yeah.
like so great for the NFL and developing that rivalry and just having like that excitement level.
So you remember like obviously like our growing up watching NFL like in our younger years, it was Peyton versus Brady,
Right.
AFC, AFC. Somehow, some way, they always kind of met each other in the regular season, but they always met each other in the playoffs. I feel like this might be the start of that. Like somehow, some way, whether it's the playoffs or the regular season for the next couple years going forward, we're going to match up with the Bears at least once a year for the next couple years going forward. I feel like.
Yes, and I don't even think I answered Tim's question, to be honest with you. What was the opponent good enough to make outsiders look at us differently? I think so, especially defensively, because one of the reasons why Chicago gets such a huge nod, like, because everyone was looking at us in this game saying you haven't beat anybody with a winning record and all this other stuff. It's like, well, have the Bears, and nobody's really
Right.
talking about that. Nobody's bringing up that data point, and so I think with the Bears, they get a lot of credit because that defense is so lauded. Whereas Washington was much more so of offensive heavy, and we were more so of opportunistic and just taking advantage of things and beating up on bad opponents, so to speak. But I think doing it to the Bears offense after what Caleb did to the Jags, I think that is going to make people really look at Washington and say, wow, they might actually be legit. Because it's the defensive element adding into it. And so, yes, I do think that this opponent was good enough for people to say, whoa, let's watch this a little bit. Let's chill out on it. And that's what I inevitably is going to end up happening. When you make these sort of things happen, great things follow. And look, they're not good at predicting. They're much better at reacting. I've
Yeah.
always said that. They're not, as much as they like to call themselves experts and analysts, they just analyze the present and react to it. They are not good at predicting things. Looking at NFL Network and they're predicting for this game, because obviously it wasn't like the Bears dominated the entire game. We dominated them.
Yeah.
We allowed them to get back into this with one stupid frickin' play. But look, it is what it is. We won the game. That's all that frickin' matters, dude. We're 6-2, by the way.
Yeah, and one more point to the question. I would say that it's going to make people look at us a little differently and say they are like a legit team, because a lot of people, like I said, we're talking about the Bears' offense and how they're starting to click and getting it going. This defense shut them down, except for that one DeAndre Swift play, whatever, a couple plays here and there. For the most part, they shut this offense down, and they always say that good teams, no matter what, they find a way to win. And the offense, they were not having their best day. They were not clicking on all cylinders for the most part, shooting themselves in the foot, even though they were moving the ball pretty easily. But at the end of the day, when the best facet of your team is not clicking, not all there, and then they need to rely on the other phase, which is our offense, our defense stepped up and said, like you said, we're going to pick you up. We got you. We'll put a team on our back for right now until we get the ball back to you to make a play for the offense. So I do think that it's going to make people look at this team as a whole and be like, okay, we already knew that with Jaden back there as quarterback, this team had a shot no matter what. If this defense is starting to play like that and hit a stride like that, and they're going to only give up, but they give up 12 points today, 15 points, whatever it was, 15 points to a high-powered offense with weapons and a pretty good quarterback that was hitting their stride, people are going to be like, man, this team's going to be tough to play, and they can run the ball hella good. That's what successful teams do in the playoff come wintertime, cold season. So we'll see. But I do think it's going to make people look a little differently at this, honestly.
What a game for Cal Ripken to be at, for Dale Jr. to come
Yeah.
to, for the Olympic athletes to come to. You couldn't have asked.
Trinity Rodman was there. I forgot about that.
You could not ask for a better situation for Harris and company in developing the excitement, because when they think about coming back to watch the Commanders, they're going to be like, hell yeah, because last time was insane. And
It was
that's
the legend that got honor Gary Clark, the
Yep.
honorary legend today. So
Dexter
yeah, man.
Manley was holding up a flag, a Commander's flag, saying "Raise Hail." And it's funny because the Commanders had tweeted up before the game. It was Hail Raisers coming soon. It was like a film thing that they put out. My goodness, was that a freaking ending, my
Man,
friend?
what? What?
That was fan-freaking-tastic. Anyone else you want to bring up before we head out? I'm going to play the Hail Mary one more time before we leave, just because it's so awesome.
Definitely. Anyone else want to bring up? Nah, nothing I can think of. I mean, I feel like we hit everyone pretty solidly. I mean,
Special teams did a great job today.
Tressway, I would say.
Tressway, but also
doesn't get a lot of opportunities nowadays,
special
but he
teams
makes the best of them.
coverage units. We know about DeAndre. We know what he can do,
Yeah.
and they were on his ass today. He was visibly upset because he wanted to be able to return one on him, and they were stopping him every time. Jeremy Reeves coming up making a play on a punt return on him, not allowing him to get up deep and changing the field position. Team win totally. I mean, all the way across the board. And wow, what a game. All right, everybody.
Definitely.
That's going to wrap us up for this episode. Thank you to the Commanders for this. Thank you, God, for blessing us on this fantastic Sunday evening. I'm going to go into work tomorrow strutting. I'm gonna be
Walking in like Conor McGregor.
I'm going to be swanging when I walk into work tomorrow. I'm like, what's up, boys? A big smile on my face. But thank you to everyone for helping out this episode. Tim Towner, to Yam Sensei, to Arch, to Average Fly Guy. We really appreciate you all. It's been an awesome day. What an awesome night. I mean, it's a whirlwind, and I appreciate my wife for putting up with me and my screaming while that game ended. But we'll see you guys again on Wednesday. Make sure you guys do not miss out on that one. We'll see you then, everybody. I'm going to play the Hail Mary one more time before we go. All right. Washington football. Woo!
Good night, my fellow 6-2 DMVers.
Last play. And it's going to be getting longer by the second. You're all the way back at the 30-yard line. Now you can step into it. Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line. And the ball is caught! Caught! It's a miracle! It's Noah Brown! Oh, my goodness! This town is going crazy. It's a madhouse in Landover, Maryland. He did it!
What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.